10% mortgages are coming. Inflation has been going wild. It's all anybody can talk about. The inflation numbers came in today. It's over 8%. All of the interest rate changes that they've happened over this course of the year hasn't tamed inflation at all. And they are being dead set that they will continue to raise interest rates until they get it down to 2%. Can that happen? Would they be able to do it? And what can you do about it? Because this is going to affect you a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is David Roth. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. We're going to be covering some stories today, so let's get right into it. Let's dig in. The very first are going to be some interesting ones. The very first stories that we're going to be talking about are some very interesting ones that are going to be affecting how it's going to happen to you. Now, we're probably going to be running into 10% mortgages. 10%. I do not think that that is crazy for us to come into that. If we check out some of the stats from today, this is directly from the Government Statistics and Labor Board numbers for the United States. They came in, and if you go look at the charts, it started off September last year at 5%, and it's just gone up 6, 7, 8, 9. And so it has dropped from 9 all the way down to 8.2. That does not change anything. Now, if you look at that, and we looked at this in context to any other times of the entire year history, you would say it's impossible that you raised rates 500%. And then it only took down inflation by this much. You would just, your jaw would drop wide open. How is that even possible that this is happening? But this is exactly what is happening. Now, if we look at some of the articles that are coming out right now, the U.S. inflation rate came out at 8.2, but core prices are trending in the wrong direction. They're going up as well. Even core inflation is going up the wrong way. Now, in this article, the only thing I wanted to point out to you is the reason why it was saved and not at 9% right now, it's at 8%, is because there was a 5% drop in the price of gasoline. Please know, we have to fill out the whole story. Remember, inflation is a backwards looking number. You and I have to look forward. Do you not remember seeing in the news about the oil production getting cut by 2 million barrels a day? And that's starting November 1st. So all of those gains that they received way back, over the past couple months for inflation is going to evaporate into thin air, as inflation will go above 9 as soon as those oil prices kick in, and the cold, bitter winter is going to kick in when Europe has no fuel. This is going to sting a lot. And you're saying, well, David, it was sitting at 9% before all these interest rate hikes, and it's still at 9% even with it all. That's right. They have to go a lot harder at this thing. They have gone higher than I ever thought possible. And inflation is way more sticky than I ever thought possible. So there is going to be some rocky roads coming up ahead. So fuel is going to go up. And so any gains in the inflation is going to go down. Now, how did the markets accept this? If we check out the gold price today, the gold price, ironically, unbelievably, went down. You would think that gold and silver and crypto would be a hedge and work the complete opposite to the way the markets went. So it went down. Okay, so gold and silver went down and inflation has gone up. So that's terrible news. Now, how did the markets actually take that? If we look at the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, both of them have reacted like they are on cocaine or something. It makes zero sense. The market has been reacting by going up. I've never seen this before. Have you ever seen this before? Unbelievable. The Dow Jones and the S&P were up today, hundreds of points, and I am shocked that it is doing that. Sorry, you guys, I have an issue with my screen. It's not pulling it up right away. Now, they have gone up a lot. I do not understand why. Nobody really understands why. How can you digest a number at 8.3% and think that this is good news? This is not good news, you guys. This is a massive, massive problem. So what do I think is going to happen is what you and I could normalize. Think in our head. We could deduce very easily where we're going to go with this, right? Uh, if you just take for a second and know that you need a stable currency in order to have a stable economy. If you do not have a stable currency, your economy is going to go down and the US is going to lose their reserve status. So that is big, big problems. So the S&P 500, it reacted very well to this unbelievable news. How is that even possible? The Dow Jones went way up. Let's try and pull that up for you guys, and I'll give you some exact numbers on both of those. Dow Jones went up again today. I do not understand why it is. Now, can you call that a bear trap? Yes, most likely. But there is going to be significant downward pressure coming up. Now, where do I think that this is going to go in the long term, you guys? I really think that 10% mortgages are going to happen, especially looking at the news that we saw today. So when we see inflation still over 8%, even though you and I know those are heavily doctored numbers, it's going to give them the ammunition they need to give a 1% rate hike coming up and another one at the end of the year. As you know, I've been predicting 2.75% increases, and we haven't seen those come up yet. So let's keep our eyes peeled for that. And I think 10% mortgages is something that we're going to have for sure. All right. So if we pull up another article I wanted to show you guys for today. This is from Business Insider. Let's see if my internet is still going to work. It's not working today. So you know what? Let's end that. We be very careful at where we're heading right now. So with the situation like we are in today, we are always paying attention to the US because the US is the reserve currency of the world. And so whatever happens to the US kind of happens everywhere else. So in Canada, because we are attached to the United States, we are the biggest trading partner. 6 weeks after the US makes their decision, Canada normally follows suit in the 90% range, like 92% of the time. So when I look at it and I see our rates in Canada already nearing that 7%, and we could handle another couple big percentage points. That's like putting a bazooka to the economy. When that is going to happen and where it will break, nobody knows. They always say it will work until it breaks, but very likely they're going to continue on. We saw some news coming out of Europe today that they rated Toronto as the #1 place in the world with the largest property bubble. That is some scary, scary news. So we have to be very, very cautious and be preparing our portfolios and our real estate as if we will be expecting to keep this inflation for the next many, many years. Once a country goes over 5% interest rate, it takes on average 10 years for them to get inflation down. So 10 years of high inflation, this could very well be the case. Now, I'm going to share one other article with you before I leave. This as well is from Business Insider. The article says home prices will fall in half in the US next year, and California being hit the hardest. The 2 points I wanted to bring out on the article: home prices will fall in half by next year. That is a shocking part. And then this is the National Association of Realtors chief economist. So this isn't just some like regular Joe Schmo. National Association of Realtors chief economist says that the US housing will drop in half. Caveat: he said he forecasts a rise in about 50% or half of the homes and a decline in the other half. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hang on just a second, man, because that's exactly what my good friend David has been telling me for a lot of time, right? I call it band squashing. So if you normally have a home at 500,000, a million, 2 million, 10 million, or whatever, the expensive homes will drop in price and the low price homes will come up. Instead of having this much choice in prices, they will all get squashed down around the middle. High prices come down, low prices get pushed up. That's the way it always happens. Doesn't matter the country, doesn't matter what century. Band squashing. Okay, so this is going to happen. And according to the chief economist over at the National Association of Realtors, they agree with me. So I want you to take a look at that article. Take time to go read about it. It's businessinsider.com. So we are going to see inflation continuing for the next many, many years. I believe that we're at the beginning of a bull cycle, and the bull cycle will continue. Now, not only do we have this bull cycle in commodities, we are also going to be experiencing the bullwhip effect that is already happening today. So that bullwhip effect, let's just take into example, give me something that you bought a lot of during the health crisis. Maybe it was jogging pants. So if during the health crisis, everyone was staying at home, no one's wearing dress suits anymore, and they're all saying, okay, I got to buy a lot of comfy jogging pants. Okay, so they buy a lot of them, and then Walmart goes online, goes, oh my goodness, everyone's buying jogging pants, and they go buy 1 million of them, saying people are going to keep buying them, but then they stop buying them. What are they left with? Mountains of jogging pants, and they got to reduce those prices to try and sell them because nobody wants them anymore. That is having an abundance of inventory because they ordered wrong, and that is what's happening on all kinds of products, but they're the products that are the ones that we don't want. Prices coming down means deflation, which is something we would like. But the things that we need are going up in price. That's the gas, food, housing going up, right? And when I talk about housing, it's not the price of housing, it's the payment. Most people think that they buy a home, but we actually usually are buying a payment. So we're going to do another video about this, but remember the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, the two big monster indexes in the United States, back in 2007 and 8, the stock market dropped 50%, 50%. So back in 2008, dropped 50%, but that's only when we had a 30% debt to GDP. Today, we are teetering on 130% debt to GDP, and the stock market's only dropped 25%. We are in an infinitely worse position than we were back in 2008, way worse. And we're only 25% down. If we drop 50% down, that would be the same as what happened in 08, and our situation is worse. So home prices and stock prices will have a really, really tough time. Here's the good news. Anybody that you have walked around and said, I'm so jealous of this guy, he's got a new camper, a new car, a new whatever. Anyone could have made money in the stock market in the past couple of years, anybody. But you're going to find out who was real and who wasn't real. And, that's why we're trying to put our stuff out there, because we're putting this out there for posterity. Like, people will be able to look back and see, like, well, is David right or wrong? This is what I'm reading, but I'm interested to know what you guys are seeing. And if you think that the market's going to be bouncing right back up to where it was, home prices going up, I'd like to know why. I love to hear opposing points of view and why you think the way you do. Anyway, you guys, I want to help you. I want to keep you safe. Listen, as of a year ago, I thought for sure they would never be able to raise interest rates like they have with the debt that they have right now. I thought it was impossible, but impossible still sometimes happens. So we have to always be nimble, always be changing our strategies. That's why I tell you financial education is the key, my friends. So if you know even one person that this could help, please send it to them. I'd really appreciate it. Please remember to give me a thumbs up on this and subscribe. I'd really, really appreciate it as well. We appreciate it. We'll be talking to you tomorrow. We have another video coming out about the S&P and the 2007 and how it relates to today. I wish you guys the very best. I hope you have a fantastic day. We love you. All right, you guys on YouTube and TikTok, if you have any questions for me, I'll answer them before I head out. Hope that you're doing good. Yeah, Montreal services. Yeah, everything's like completely out of control. Rajveer, I mean, it could be 10% mortgages on your primary home. Second home as well. Okay, so Trade King, you said, what about the UN asking the US to hold on to rate? So that is a very notable thing that the United Nations is coming out and telling the US government not to raise rates, warning them the damage that they're going to cause. But they're talking about the damage to third world countries. The US is acting in their own self-interest right now. And guess what? Honestly, so should most countries, is act in their own self-interest. I mean, that's why they get voted to power. I don't remember a time that the United Nations has been so vocal to tell a massive country, let alone the reserve country of the world, the reserve currency of the world, to how to handle their central bank policy. I've never seen that. But I still think that the US is going to act in their own self interest. We have not heard anybody say anything except that they will quash inflation. Remember, without a stable currency, you cannot have a stable economy. China and Russia and the Saudis and company are all in to bring down the US. Absolutely. It's 1,000% true. This is not even a secret, like this isn't going like conspiracy theory or whatever when we say, well, China and Russia and all these other countries are very loudly proclaiming it from speeches from the pulpits, saying that we want to end the US domination of the world economy. This is happening. When do I go live? I try to go live every day, but here's the thing is a lot of people that are out there are actual YouTubers or they are actual content creators or whatever. I am actually an acting broker. I am selling properties in Toronto, from Niagara Falls all the way to Oshawa up to Barrie. We are selling homes on the regular. So if it's something that you guys are looking forward to or looking to do is sell your property, that's what I do. That's what I specialize in. I'm a real estate broker that operates here. If you want to book a free time with me, it's 20 minutes, and you can click the link in my bio and book a free time with me to sell your property. Chris Price, 7% is the going rate right now. He's asking, is 8% the going rate? 7% is the going rate right now, but after the U.S. inflation came out today at 8.2, it's almost a certainty that the U.S. is going to come out all guns blazing. I think at least a 1% raise in the interest rates, minimum 3/4, and they're going to raise that a lot. And what happens to Canada is Canada follows suit. Whatever happens in the U.S. happens to Canada. So our rate in a couple weeks will be hitting 8%, and then they have another raise before the end of the year. They've already said that they want to raise it both times, most likely at 0.75%. But with the inflation numbers that we got today, a 1% is definitely on the table. Desi, you're right. Home prices. Oh, but you're saying only reason home prices will balance is because the cost of building new ones is high. Listen, all the prices that are dropping across Toronto is because nobody can qualify to buy the new homes. We were just talking to a nice gentleman. He qualified for $800,000 back in February. Today, he qualifies for $460,000. This is the same guy with the same job. Nothing has changed. He went from qualifying for $800,000 down to $460,000. This is what's happening to the market now. People cannot qualify for mortgages. Rajveer, yeah, the banks want a 10% to cool down inflation. Central banks want that. As far as commercial banks, they don't care. They still make money, right? They're in the business of lending money, and they want to lend you the most money they can. Montreal Services, will GIC also increase next month? Yes, absolutely. It happens every single time. Your risk-free rate with your GICs will go up as the central bank rate goes up. So if you're going to plan to go buy GICs, don't. The rates are going to be going up. The GICs will follow and track the central bank central rate. So if you know that the rate is going to go up a couple more points by the end of the year, and you're going to put a big lump sum in GICs for a long term, then you should do that. Not saying that I suggest GICs, by the way. For you guys who know that follow me for a long time, I don't have any GICs. YouTube, if you have any questions and you have them for me, please put them below and I'll let you know. Desi, you got a 1 year at 4.35. Nice. Happy for you. I hope that works for you. Pop Addict, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. So what we're talking about today is the interest rate. Inflation was crazy in the United States, and now this is going to impact Canadian homes massively. massively. And the ones, this is the band squashing. That's what I call it. The high price homes will come down. Low prices homes will come up. They have to, because everybody from the top markets will be decimated and they're going to be into bidding wars for low price homes. Every single time there is a dwindling supply of something that is a requirement of life, food, water, housing, energy, all of that stuff will have huge strain on it, and inflation will continue. Pop Addict. There is no place in Canada that I would buy a pre-construction home. I do not buy pre-construction. So we buy pre-construction for our clients all the time in Toronto, but it's a very specific subset of people that do that. Number one, the people who insist that they be in a new unit. They don't want to ever live in a unit. They find it icky, and that's fine. To each their own. Number two, sometimes there's different family members that all want to be all together. And so you'll have mom, dad, uncle, cousin, all these different people, kids, all want to be on the same floor. You can only do that in new construction. So then that's okay too. And sometimes people, they just want to add one more home to their portfolio, and they know there's a big check of $100,000 coming through their business later on, and they can qualify for that one more. They couldn't do it on a resale, but they could do it on a new construction. But besides them, we don't buy it for regular, because we can get a great, amazing deal today, 60, 70% off for the same unit, one building next to it. So yeah, don't buy pre-construction. Snuckers, this is a good question. This is the question you guys should be asking. Do you assume the rates will rise indefinitely? What do you think are the caps at in 10 years and plus? So we can only go by the information that we have at the time. Remember, there are no certainties leading on into the future. There are only probabilities, right? So the probability is that they're going to continue to raise rates very aggressively until springtime. And then once, maybe even before that, depending how the market behaves, they might stop raising rates or lower it down slightly. But with the amount of debt that the countries have, where the interest payment is already 25, 30% of total tax revenue, they don't have a lot of room here. They're going to have to print a lot more money. So I expect them to start going back on their rates when they cool inflation a bit and continue their money print. They're probably in a situation where we're in a long-term commodity bull cycle and a long-term sticky inflation category. Montreal Services, you've been on here a long time. You said if you have a large amount today and you can't buy now, what would you put the money in until you're ready to buy? So maybe you can buy some U.S. treasuries if you'd like. Possibly. I put gold and silver. I put into account there, but I'm still buying properties today. You can still buy properties under market value. A lot of questions, you guys. I don't really know what this comment means. KM wants to stop looking at your homes like an investment and treat it like a home. You'll be fine. I don't know what that means. I always believe that we have to be prepared. If you're not prepared, you're going to get hurt, right? Listen, guys, this is not shocking stuff. My grandmother on one side of my family, they always had cans, Ukrainian. They would always go and pick everything out of their garden and put it in those glass jars and hold it for the winter. On my father's side, my father would go hunting and fishing, catch this food. They had no refrigeration growing up. They had to go and put it in all of these cans and prepare for the winter. When they know that something very cold and a tough time was coming, they were preparing. We have to be that mindset, you guys. Any farmer that is out there knows that he has to plant in the spring, work all year, harvest, make some money, and last it through the winter till the next year. Why is it crazy that we prepare ourselves financially now for what we think is going to be an extremely hard time? Well, I know it's going to be an extremely hard time. We are already in that hard time. So continue to plan for it. Is it a bad investment to wait? Is it bad to do it as an investment and sell it the real estate team to buy out? I don't understand what that means. Sorry, but when can you see a lot of power of sales? Waiting to buy a couple of them. Desi, that's the United States has a lot of power of sales. That's not going to come up much. You're not going to see very many of those, not for a while. And in the States, they sell them right on the stairs of the legal offices of the city hall. They don't do that in Canada as much. Snuckers, you're welcome. You're in 20-year mortgage and don't expect to have my salary increase enough to cover the 15%. That's right, Snuckers. That's why we're always talking about here about getting yourself some extra income. The only way that you're going to beat out that 15% inflation is if you get extra revenue streams coming in. My wife and I work on this full time. We both are doing 80 hours a week. I'm a full-time real estate broker. As you know, that's what we talk about here, but I have 4 companies. I also have 12 streams of income that we have set up over the time that you have to be able to do that. If you're not doing that, inflation will really, really hurt you. Remember, the government and the businesses like that because they can raise their prices and keep your salary the same. In effect, you have gotten a pay cut. So inflation is a tax, and we have to remember that. And you have to outrun inflation. You need to out earn inflation. It's the only way. Suckers, you said you saw those rates in the early 80s. Yeah. So when we saw them in the early 80s, the rates that were crazy, 20% or whatever, homes were $50,000. But if we put rates today back to 18%, 20%, what do you think is going to happen to the price of a home? It's going to drop like a meteorite. Is it meteor or meteorite? Chris Bryce, you said a lot of questions. Thanks, man. No, you watch regularly. Well, thanks very much for coming on. Thanks for being a fan. Appreciate it. Guys, I'm a real estate broker. I'm just a dumb real estate broker, man. I work in Toronto, but guys, I've been doing this for 20 years and I read 2, 3, 4 hours a day, every single day, and to try to keep up with this stuff. So if you're not doing it, well, maybe you can come on here and I'll give you a couple of shortcuts. Just buy Tesla stock. Absolutely not, man. Never. I do not own Tesla stock. I'm not going to. Just imagine if Justin Trudeau gives another $2,000 a month. Yeah, but listen, whether they're going to send it to you or whether they're going to spend it as a government, either way, the government is printing money, and printing money will come a lot of inflation. I expect to see at least 10% inflation for the next 5 years. Montreal Services, why would I prefer U.S. securities over Canadian GIC? Dollar milkshake theory. If you don't know what the dollar milkshake theory is, go look it up. Brent Johnson. For pre-cons, is it smart to just put a down payment and sell it when the market price? Sell it when it is market price as investors? I don't know what that means. I guess if you are insistent on buying a pre-construction, and I wouldn't, that if you were, I would be putting down the smallest down payment I could on it. But remember, in Canada, we don't have 1031 exchanges, bonus depreciation. So the whole strategy of buying a pre-construction and then selling it after capital gains, taxes and everything, it's not worth it. You don't have a good enough return. Chris, you said you're paying extra now on your mortgage while it is locked in for when you re-amortize. Okay, cool. When do you recommend for someone to get extra income with low startup or capital? What do you recommend? That's the question, right? What are you going to do to outrun inflation? I have 4 businesses and I have 12 other streams of income, but I'm working on new ones every single day. You need to continue. But guys, I'm a son of a farmer, okay? I was on welfare. I had nothing. I was dead broke. I had no money. Welfare, could not even afford food. And then what did I have to do? I had to start changing the way I do things. And only then could I start seeing some success. And my wife and I, I'm 42 years old. We still work 80 hours a week. But this is the problem is most people I talk to, they're like, nah, I only want to work 30 and I don't want to work anymore. And I just want to Netflix and hang out at night. Okay. But you know what? Like, I don't have the secret sauce. I just work a lot of hours. I work hard and I try to work smart. Try to anyway. But you need more streams. I do a lot of stuff online, but we have 4 companies. You know, real estate is always great. I want to be a partner of the government. I want the government to love me. And most governments, it doesn't matter. We have a lot of people that tune in from Europe and South America and a lot from the US. We have a lot from Canada, a couple from Australia. All of those countries, all of them are pretty much the same. You're going to have huge tax credits if you create jobs, if you create what else? Food, energy, and housing. That's what every government wants. What do people need? Food, energy, housing, jobs. If you create those, the government is going to give you tax benefits, regardless of where you are. So become a partner with the government and reduce your tax load. Number one expense in your life is taxes. Why wouldn't you be attacking that first to pay less? Abdul, so he's asking a question. It's not a question I can answer very quickly. I'm on a variable mortgage, net negative cash flow properties. What do you do? So if you've been following me for a while, Abdul, I'm not really sure, but you know, I don't want to have too many net negative cash flow properties in my possession. And if you've been following me since like March, April, I've been saying to people they got to sell their properties. So what kind of property is it? If you're right downtown in a major city, so let's say you're in downtown Toronto and you have $1 million condo that's only renting for $2,500, in that case, it's a property that you would like to sell and not have the risk anymore. And then put some of your money into some lower priced units because the lower priced units will not suffer as much as the luxury units. It really depends where you are. Now, let's say that you were in a net negative cash flow property that was maybe, give me a place out in Regina. We're talking a C plus type of housing market, and it's not going to drop as much because it's not as over leveraged. And that's a property that I would keep anyway. But you see, I live in Toronto where a lot of properties could be $2,000-3,000 negative per month. In that case, it's something that you'd have to work on. Snuckers, yeah, I got quite a few streams of income. I don't talk about them online. The stuff that I talk about is all about real estate. So we do have some companies that we're holding companies. So we talk about housing here. My housing is where we operate on houses, doing installation on one company. The other companies hold properties, holding companies. And then the operating company is the one that we operate as a real estate brokerage. And we have a whole bunch of employees and an entire team working on that. Please tell me what you would do if you found yourself with $1 million cash today. Guys, if you had $1 million cash today, you could retire immediately and you'd never have to work again. If you had $1 million cash, you'd be able to go buy 10 properties, 10 single family homes that will give you $10,000 a month cash flow. So you do whatever you want with that money for the rest of your life. But once you get to $1 million, you're done. You don't have to work anymore. But that's the thing. You don't have to work if you don't want to work. I like trying to help people out. Suckwinder, what about Niagara Falls? Niagara Falls is cool, man, but it really depends where in Niagara Falls. It really depends if you're Airbnb-ing it, if you're doing a long-term rental. If I was in a long-term rental in Niagara Falls, I'd probably be converting it over to an Airbnb. Pop Addict, that's a very long conversation. He says, what is the purpose of a holding company? A holding company is somewhere for tax advantages, but it has to do a lot with tax advantages and wealth planning. And that's a conversation you have to have with your tax strategist and your accountants and any financial advisors you have. It's a long-term strategy that you have to know what the strategy is for the next 25 years before you actually do it. Yeah, rates are going to be hitting 10%, I think, quite clearly after what we saw today. 8.2% burn in the United States on inflation. Unbelievable. The only reason it's down is because gas came down 5%. So inflation is going to go up a lot in November as gas prices rebound because of the OPEC oil cuts. Yes, Snuckers, I just talk about real estate on the channel. Sorry, buddy. Every time that I go down that road and I start telling other people what I'm doing, it ends up taking over the whole commentary. I just want to help out people with real estate. My real estate company is the exact name right here, Rough Team Realty. I am a broker for Rough Team Realty. Pop Addict, you're welcome. Listen, you guys, the CPI is always manipulated. Doesn't matter what country you come from. So this isn't a poke at fun at the United States. It isn't a poke of fun at Canada or Europe or whatever it is. But remember, the way that we used to calculate inflation was more honest in the 80s. In the 80s, they would have a basket full of stuff, and today a basket full of stuff, and they would just compare this loaf of bread to that loaf of bread, this steak to this steak, and say, okay, prices went up. Nowadays, we have a lot of manipulation of the CPI numbers. We, number one, have a change in, instead of a steak, they might put hamburger in. They go, well, you got protein the same way, but it's not the same product. You know what I mean? Or they may change the weighting of housing in that calculation. They're going to either put less weighting for housing or more weighting. They're going to manipulate it because it's in their best interest to do so. So go to a website called Shadow Stats, and it will show you how they calculated inflation in 1980 and what happens if they use the exact same calculation today. Real inflation would be around 16 or 17% today. The thing is that they will change it. It's in their best interest. If they ever came out in the news and said inflation was 17%, there would be riots in the streets. Who knows? But I can tell you that anybody that reads the news or lives it is in a completely different circumstance. If you tell my mom, did you know that food and gas went up 17% in the last year? She'd go, I know. It totally went up that much. I'd say, well, do you think it's up only up 5%? She'd say, not in your life. So anyone who's reasonable, if you just talk to your mom, your cousin, your friend, I don't know, they'd all go, yeah, prices are insane, how much higher they are right now. So that's where I go to a site and actually see what the differences are. Pop Addict. Yeah, you're saying sell ebooks, affiliate marketing. Yep, those are ideas. I've looked into those before. Um, how lucrative could it be to lend that $1 million as private mortgage? I would never do that. So there's a whole bunch of strategies around private mortgages. Remember, if you're going to lend on a private mortgage, only do so if you're in first place. You're never going to lend on a home in second place, only in first place, or you're going to lose all your money. Number two, you should never take straight income and use that straight income to like money that you have in the bank. Never take cash in the bank to lend it out as a mortgage. That's crazy. You want to borrow money and then lend it out. In in Toronto, are the revenue property owners are a long-term fixed or still variable rates? Well, I've been telling everybody to get on very fixed rates since when was I saying that? October, November, December, January, February. I was saying it all those months. Fix them, fix them, fix them. I fixed all my rates. That's one thing. I don't believe most of the things that come out of most politicians' mouths, right? But when they say we will be raising rates and we're going to raise them aggressively to get inflation under wraps, that's the one time that I really believe them. In addition, when I know that real inflation out there is 16%, stated inflation is only 9, and they're charging me 6% on my mortgage. Well, if real inflation is sitting at 16, I have a 10% difference here that I'm making on my money. So I don't mind it. Pop Addict, yeah, I have dual in EU as well, Switzerland and the Netherlands, but I'm not buying over there. Nope. The only place I would even maybe buy is Portugal, but even then, probably even not. I wouldn't be buying there. If I was in Canada, I think that you are in Canada. If I was, I would be buying in the United States or in Canada. It really depends on a lot of your situations. That's why you really have to talk with a wealth architect. So I consider myself a wealth architect. I call it smart money mechanics, but this is where you have to build a dream team. You need good financial advisors. You need to have a tax strategist and a really good accountant, a good mortgage broker, and a good realtor. Yeah, there's nowhere in the United States that I mean, nowhere in Europe that I consider a good place to be buying right now. What do you think about buying in Saskatchewan? Listen, guys, I always say I never fall in love with the house. I fall in love with the what? The deal, right? Show me the deal. If you're going to be buying in Saskatchewan, blow me away with some really good numbers. I'd want to do it. If you were going to lock in rates, I mean, I would told everybody last October, November to December, January, February, March, lock in, lock in, lock in, lock in. And everyone said I'm crazy. Okay. And they all went variable. Okay. Almost everyone I spoke to went variable. So now they're talking to me about locking your rates. If you're talking about locking your rates today, I don't think it's a terrible idea, but I would only be doing it for maybe a year. I would never lock it in for longer than that. I still think that there's a Fed pivot coming. Remember, I think they're going to raise it a few more times this year, but they're going to have to pivot later on. Remember, you guys, if you have any questions on YouTube, please let me know. Happy to help you out too. Adi Koopa, that is the multi-trillion-dollar question. Adi asks, at what rate increase is the breaking point of the market? I wish I knew. $1 trillion question, man. But they always say it'll keep working until it doesn't, right? And they're going to keep raising rates until something breaks. They're not even near that point yet. What do you recommend for wealth strategy KP1, KM1? That is a very, very, very long conversation for wealth strategy. I've been developing a course now for a couple months. We're doing filming every single day almost. It's going to be a 20 to 30 hour course by the time that we're done it on wealth strategy. It is how I took myself from welfare to financial freedom. If I was going to lock in rates, I would only do so for 1 year. That's the most I would do it for. Yeah, Montreal Services, there are revenue property owners who are banking on refinance to buy another property. That's absolutely right. People who are over leveraged are going to get really hurt. UK pension funds can't pay monthly returns to their retired people. Yeah, that's not even the main cause of the UK pension. It's because the UK pensions were getting margin called. It's not because that they couldn't pay. They had enough money there, but they had risky debts and they were margin called. Ewa got deals for $188. You bought a house for $188 out in Saskatchewan. Is that right? Inspect 2020. If you're having trouble refinancing and you're looking to refinance, of course, everybody is different. You want to talk to my mortgage guy, send me a message at contact@Rough Team Realty. Contact@Rough Team Realty. Send me an email and you could talk to my mortgage guy. Maybe we can help you out get refinanced. Clive Lawrence. Yeah, the reason that the Great British Pound and the euro has gone down is because their situation is very, very dire. Demographics is terrible in Europe. We cannot even find one good country, let alone a cluster of them. They're all in a lot of trouble. Financially in trouble, demographics in trouble, and politically in trouble. Massively unstable. I would not be purchasing there. The reason why the pound is going down is because of the trouble. And right now, I don't see any end in sight of the trouble. Hey, you said I'm great and I'm underrated. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Amazing content and engagement interactions. I appreciate it. That's really, really cool. Here's the thing. If I was opening up a YouTube channel with all kinds of crazy stuff, blowing a house up or something, I'd get like 1 billion views. But when I do this kind of thing and I want to actually help people, nobody likes it. So anyway, maybe I got to be giving some good financial like wealth nuggets at the same time of getting slimed. Iwa, you got a house for $188. Good job, man. I hope you bought 100 of them. Iwa, where did you buy a house for $15,000? Can you tell me? Saskatchewan is incredible. Rents are great. Super landlord friendly. Nothing like here. Can you tell me what town that you bought a home for $15,000? Inspect 2020. My guy's in Toronto. Yeah, he's in Canada. If you want to reach out to Canada, no problem. Theodore, 20 minutes to Yorkton. I wish I had a pen. I want to write that down. Yorkton. I want to check that out. Where can I buy a home for $15,000, you guys? But you now told everybody, so now everyone's going to go buy all the houses there. Can you kick your tenant out if you want to turn it into a rental to an Airbnb? I have no idea where you live, bro. But if you want to get rid of them and you're in Ontario, you can't do that. The unit has to be for a family member or yourself to move into. Every province is different. Every state is different. Every country is different. Whew, you guys have worn me out, man. You're in Ontario. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't kick somebody out in Ontario for that. Unfortunately. Sorry, buddy. All right, guys. This is like at a game, they have a little like a 10-minute warning or something. I'm just telling you guys, I got to get running. So let me know if there's anything else that I can help you. No, you can't evict in BC either. BC is like the same as Ontario. Very, very strong eviction laws. Man, I think I burned you guys out. I think I got you everything. Saskatchewan, you can 30 days? Nice. Yeah, but the prairies are kind of like that. Saskatchewan, Alberta's like that too. So is New Brunswick. Oh my goodness. How do you know if you're over leveraged? I mean, that is a part of my course. I mean, that's an hour-long conversation. You should always have some properties, some stocks, long-term and risk stops. You also have to have the crypto. You also have to have gold and silver in your portfolio. But then more importantly, you always need to have an opportunity fund and you always have to have an emergency fund. And only once all of those are filled, do you know that you're balanced. It's a half-hour conversation for that. So my courses are going to be on Udemy and Skillshare, but I have only put out one so far. I have another one that should be done within the other one. The first one is for buyers to buy properties. The second one is on gold and silver, but I'm also working on a master class, which is the 20 to 30 hour program. I'm going to be sending out information on that too. If you want to have any information on any of my books or courses that are coming up, you can go and email me, contact@Rough Team Realty, contact@Rough Team Realty. You can send me a message and write book if you're interested in book. You'll get put on the wait list. Put courses if you're interested in the courses information, and we'll let you know when it comes available, okay? If you're looking to sell your home in Toronto, that's what we specialize in. We sell properties faster for more money and with less hassle. After dealing with thousands of clients in our lives, that's the three things that they're always looking for. I want it more money, faster, and less hassle. And that's what we specialize in. We got 27 appointments on our last property in the first day. We do that by massive like lightning warfare advertising online. Hundreds of thousands of ads are purchased so that everyone comes in on your first day. How do foreigners from, say, Africa buy property in Canada? Anyone can buy property in Canada. There is some foreign buyers taxes that come on, but right now there's a ban on it for 2 years. Refinances are in a bloodbath territory. Refinancing is not happening anywhere. Everyone is getting laid off. Nobody is refinancing. Do you have advice for renting in BC without fearing the lengthy eviction process? So we would not rent in BC. Any properties that our holding companies have in BC, we do short-term rentals. We don't rent long-term. Sorry, she broke. She broke. Hmm. I don't know what you mean by the names and the identity. Iwa, thanks very much for coming by. Mr. Incognito, you said, bro, thanks for the advice to tell me to sell my house last month. Going to buy a house in 4 months. Good job, man. Okay, Mr. Incognito, you got to give me the success story. I've been telling people to sell their homes since April. Okay, so tell me what you sold it for and what it would be worth today. So I want to know, like, how much money did I help you save? That's what I want to know. Montreal Server says there will be an ebook and a published book. There's going to be both. I favor, though, the published book because I take my books and I write notes in them and I put stickies in them. I think everyone should only do it that way. EY, you said you're in central Etobicoke, but want to add a garden to the house first. This will boost the sale of the house. Nice. Very nice. Cool. Well, if you want me to help you sell your house, this is what I specialize in. I get homes sold faster, more money, less hassle. This is the main three things. If you want to book an absolutely free appointment with me, you click on this button right here. You can choose your time. It's a free 20 minutes with me, and we can talk about how to sell your house for more money. Thoughts on Cornwall market for rent and hold, cheap for places that need some work. Yeah, I looked into Cornwall several times. I passed on it. I can tell you though, back in 2000, maybe 17, something like that, I almost bought a whole bunch of properties there. I regret that, but I have revisited several times since then, and it doesn't make sense for me right now. What did I say about no refinancing? I'm saying that refinancing right now, almost all the people that work in the field that are refinance people have been laid off because nobody is refinancing a mortgage that they got at 1.75 last year and refinancing for a 6 or 7% interest rate now. Nobody's doing that. So everybody's kind of gone home. They've been sent home by all the banks. It is still possible to do. There's just not a lot of business in it. But if you want to talk about refinancing, you talk to your local bank. You can also call my guy if you want. If you want to send me a message, you write a message to contact@Rough Team Realty, and we'll get back to you. We'll get you in contact with our guys. Kai, how are you, buddy? Top guy, Rough. Thanks for all your knowledge. You're welcome, buddy. Hopefully it helps you out a lot. How do shell companies work for properties? Shell companies, there is no shell companies in Canada really that we do, but you can have holding companies and operating companies. Very complicated. We can't get into it here. You need to have lawyers, tax accountants. You need to have tax strategists. You got to talk to financial advisors, all about that stuff. But yeah, if you want to get into advanced stuff, you don't put properties in your name. No wealthy individuals have properties in their name. Yeah, in Spec 2020, I'm not saying that refinancing isn't happening anymore. It does happen, but the volume of business is down. So not a lot of people are doing it right now. But if you need to do it, it is available. And so you can still talk to your banks and still talk to my mortgage guys if you'd like. Send me a message if you want to talk to my guy. It's just it's not harder. It's just there's less people doing it now. Move to America. That's where the real money is. Absolutely. I tell you guys all the time, you should be buying property in the United States as part of like a balanced portfolio. People can buy properties in the United States from all over the world. Does my team do referrals to accountants? Sometimes, not always. It really depends where you are. Most of my people, though, you have to buy your way in, and they don't take new clients. User 3313, how many properties before incorporating? When does it make sense? This is the biggest mistake everybody makes. Why on earth, if you said, I'm going to put my third and fourth home into an incorporation, why wouldn't you put your first and second? Once you have made, you have to sit down with somebody that is a money mechanic to help you map out the strategy for the next 25 years. Once you can do something like that, then you start and do it right from the first day. How many times did your parents ever tell you, if you're going to do something, you do it right away from the beginning? And that's what I'm a proponent of. Instead of limping your way through steps of the ladder, figure out what the rich do and then reverse engineer it back and start on good footing. Whose name would it be under? You put it under a company name. Yeah, corporation. Jessica, yeah. Properties go in corporations. They don't go in your name. In fact, many corporations. Yep, trusts are another part. Holding companies and operating companies and trusts and family offices and all of it. It's very big wealth building techniques. People don't do it because it's very, very, very expensive. To have a good accountant, it could cost you $10,000 a year. Tax strategist could be $10,000 a year. Every company that you set up, you got to set it up. Special accounting, everything is maintenance. Very, very, very expensive. But if you're not committed to the plan to become wealthy and you just want to limp by, this is the thing, is I don't understand. My brain just doesn't works differently than other people, I guess, because I want to go and see what the billionaires are doing and then reverse it and do that. But what I find a lot on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and everyone, they're all looking for the person that's the next step to them and trying to copy them along the way. But then they have to, once they get to more wealth, they have to go back and change it all. For me, I would rather learn it all right away from the beginning and do it right because I've committed to the 25-year process. All right, guys, I think I'm burning up my 10-minute. I gave you a 10-minute warning a while ago. I'm going to have to get going. Upfront cost, but long-term, it's worth it. 10K is nothing to savings of thousands yearly. Exactly. So you got to balance this all out, right? There's more bookkeeping costs, more accounting costs, more of your time, right? And then setting up businesses and all that. You're going to have audits that you're going to have to go through. You got to be prepared for all that. Iwa, yeah, it's very, very complicated. I've been doing it for 20 years. So that's why I say this is where everybody has got to get a wealth architect or money mechanic like myself. That is why I'm building a massive course. It's going to be basically 20 years of everything I've ever learned and how to take yourself from welfare to millionaire in one course. And it's going to be 20 to 30 hours. We're not even close to finish filming it all. What is the best way to buy a second investment property that is rented out? So I don't know how to answer that. If you just want to just get one more and then stick that way, then put it in your name. If you want to commit to buy 1, 2, 3, 5 properties a year every year for the next X amount of years, then you could do that too. Do you know what I mean? Then you put it all in a company name. It really depends. Sole proprietor. No, that's not a corporation. Sole proprietor. Refinance that first property only if you have sufficient in your emergency fund and your opportunity fund. You never want to over leverage. EY, you said you're signing up for my courses. Appreciate it. So if you want to know, send me a message here. Okay. Contact at Rough Team Realty. Contact at Rough Team Realty. I'll put your email down and we'll send you out information when it becomes available. So a course or a partnership. Oh, yeah, only a corporation. I don't do partnerships. Kent from Saskatchewan. How are you, buddy? Thanks very much. Hope that you learned a lot, you guys. I got a wallop, man, over this winter. We're going to have a couple books out. We're going to have courses out. We've been working like mad. Thank you for my entire team. Thank you for Glenn and Tessa and Ray and Alexis and everybody. Thank you so much for all of your guys' help in getting this all ready. For all you guys, you're in for some real treats over the fall and winter. We have a lot of stuff coming out. More and more people need this type of stuff, and I can't find anyone who ever knew all this. So I just have had to go to millions of seminars and weekends away and hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn it all. All right, you guys. Wish you guys the very best. I hope that you have a fantastic night. Thank you very much for being fans. Please let some people know about me. Maybe tell them about me. Send me about them. Something like that, just to help me out. I really appreciate it. All you guys on TikTok, please follow me on YouTube. We do some more longer form content on that. Wish you the very best. Keep crushing it. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, YouTube, for coming on tonight. Appreciate it.